Good evening. Billy, thank you very much for everything that you've done tonight and starting us off. As the TV said, my name is David Miller, and I am representing the entire Miller family, whom are mostly with us tonight. Not quite as many over there, but we got a few of them up there. Before I get started, I'd like to thank everyone who helped make this night possible by putting together such a great inaugural group of inductees. This is basically the who's who of Louisville. And Commonwealth Bank and Steve, you all did a great job dinner last night and putting all this together. And I know you had a whole team of people that helped you all do this. Thank you all very much. It was much appreciated. When I was asked to speak for 2 or 3 minutes about what this award would have meant to my father, I struggled on what to say. Paulie was born in 1919 and passed away a little over 7 years ago. How do I squeeze 86 wonderful years into 2 or 3 minutes? So I said a prayer to Mom and Dad, and I asked them for their direction and guidance. And what came to me was I wanted to try to put myself into my dad's shoes for this evening and sit here and if Dad were here today, what would he want to say to you? What would he want to get across, and what meaningful thing would he say? Well, the first thing that came to mind was he'd want to stand up here and tell a bunch of stories. He loved telling stories about all of his great teams and accomplishments, all the wonderful players, and how proud he was of all their accomplishments. He would go on and on, as he normally would, telling great, great stories. But fortunately for all of you, I only have 2 or 3 minutes instead of 2 or 3 hours. But what I think Paulie would have wanted to say if he were here today is all of his success in playing football, playing basketball, baseball, and playing boxing, in coaching all the sports, all the success he had, all the wonderful teams, all the championships, the success he had as a politician, and the success raising 11 great, great family members. It all began with the core principles of a Catholic education and a Catholic upbringing. Kind of Paul Varga hit it off at the beginning of the night talking about the family and that education and sitting around the supper table. And most of these wonderful people that are inductees tonight, that's what we talked about. Those Catholics, those players, those coaches, and those volunteers. My mom and dad were devoted Catholics. They were raised with a Catholic education. Paulie went to St. Columba Grade School and to St. Xavier High School, where he was taught by the Xavier brothers, and he embraced the Catholic faith. He learned about character. He learned about respect, courage, and leadership. One of my father's favorite stories was when he was a sophomore playing basketball at St. Xavier High School. They were in Chicago playing for what was deemed as the national championship. And the game was going on, and it was about a minute to go in the game. The St. X coach called timeout. They were down by 1 point, and he said, "Paulie, get in there and get me the ball. Get the ball back because we need it and we need a score, but whatever you do, don't take the shot. Get it to a guard and let him shoot it." So Dad gets into the game and he runs out there and he did what he was told to do. He got the ball. He dribbled it down court and he sat there and didn't have a person to pass it to. So what did he do? He squared up to the basket from 15 feet away and took a 2-hand set shot. And I can still visualize Dad telling the story today. He shot the ball, and all he saw was the net go swish. They won the championship. I think this single moment helped define who my father was and what he was to become. He wanted all of his future players to experience this type of feeling, this type of glory, the passion, the excitement. He wanted them to feel it the same way. He took these core principles and applied them to his everyday life and instilled these life lessons into his players, his team, and into this community. With his hard work, his tenaciousness, his refuse to lose attitude, he inspired his players, his family, and the community to overachieve and become the great athletes, the role models, and citizens today. There's not a week that goes by that I don't think about my father. There's not a week that goes by that I don't bump into somebody that said, I played for your dad, or I played against your dad, or even I coached against your dad, or they might have just known him. You know, tonight in roaming around and talking to many different people, there was great conversations, great stories. And you see, I think Paulie Miller is here today. His spirit, his values, and his dedication live within us. In closing, it's a great honor to be here tonight and show tribute to Coach Paulie Miller for all he did for this community. And I want to thank you on behalf of the Miller family for this award and all the memories. Thank you, and God bless. Good job,